You've been very very careful to not be personal at any time. I think since day one with anyone in your campaign. When you reflect on what you want to do, is it safe to assume that it's not about personality so much as it is what you know, what you can bring to the table, and how you can work with the community and take it in a different direction? Is that fair, rather than trying to beat somebody up, so to speak?
I applaud, as I said, anybody who's worked on behalf of the community at any level. I mean, these are people, politicians that have dedicated significant portions of their time and effort only for one reason, I assume, for the benefit of the community. And I'm sure that that's at the heart of it. And I'm running because I have a different philosophy on how to drive the city forward, how to make it happen. When I say working together with all parties, I've given you an example just on that tax that we've talked about. But every single business leader has got their skin in the game. Every single, from the point of view of the taxes that they pay. They've got ideas on how to grow the economy. Every single citizen has got ideas on where they would like to see that spend go to improve their lives. It's the responsibility of the council to get this done, to leave a better community for future generations. And that end, when I see the potential of Timmins, I see a potential that's unlimited in agriculture. I see a potential and the difference being, you look at what's happening in Iroquois Falls and Matheson, the lands that are being cleared. It's because those town councils went out and secured the investment. Mike Longovich from Matheson, who was born and raised in Matheson, I believe, saw over his lifetime families leaving which once was very productive agricultural land. Same as, this is the Great Clay Belt. The Lesser Clay Belt is in Uliskert. It's very, very rich soil that has always been hampered by a short growing season. That's changing as we speak. Crop technology is changing. I never would have believed in my life I would be standing in a cornfield in Matheson. The corn is higher, that's over my shoulder. That's what's happening around us. Forestry, and we've got abundant land, abundant agricultural land that we need a partnership with the ministry to, in fact, free more of that up. You cut a poplar down, you cut a tree down, you've got a crop every 60 years. You plant a field of wheat, you got a crop every year. Yeah. That's simple. And there's abundant land out there for forestry. The only sector of the forestry that's growing, and it's been hampered by tariffs, it's been hampered by the softwood lumber. I mean, and we've seen the decline in the forestry industry around it. We've got one firm left and one larger firm left, and we've got smaller firms that are led by entrepreneurs that are working hard and doing a great job. But we don't have the wafer port plants. We don't have the stranded OSB plants. They're down in Georgia Pacific in Earlton. In Englehart, sorry. The only sector of that part of that sector that's growing is cardboard. So we can make paper up here. We had a paper mill up here. It should have been repurposed to cardboard. It was a win-win-win, and I was involved in that project. But it was a win-win-win. Unfortunately, Resolute was in a huge hurry to tear that down. Unfortunately. Anyway, that's a different story. But that opportunity is still there because it was a win for the forestry at the Ministry of Natural Resources because it preserved the forest balance. Right now, you'll see a lot of raw logs going into Quebec because there's no place to process them here in Ontario. Restore that forestry balance. It's still there. attract the investment, we for 100 years made paper and shipped it south. We can make cardboard here and ship it south. And why is the cardboard a growing industry? Simply because of the way we shop. Online shopping, everything gets put in a cardboard box. Everything. We need to source that. We need to figure that out. How do we get that investment back here? And we need to do that. And we can do that. That's forestry. The mining sector, we had pursued for a few years very aggressively this basalt deposit and insulation made from basalt fibers with a Chinese company. Didn't work out, but that basalt deposit is there. And I've said at the Timmins Economic Development Corporation where I work, okay, we've got to change our model here. Instead of waiting passively for people to come through that door, then we've got to develop the scoping studies, we've got to develop the pre-feasibility studies, and we've got to market that opportunity. That insulation can be built here. Let's go after it. Let's drive it. Very similar to the way we had the Toyota cold weather testing facility for years and years and years. It was somebody pursued it here, and we had the local entrepreneur in Toyota, Jim Mazouk, that pursued it on behalf of us. Those types of facilities can be brought back here. Toyota is a huge investor in the hydrogen fuel cell. Hydrogen fuel cell, the largest single cost in hydrogen fuel, is the energy it takes to make the hydrogen. We've got cheap energy up here, all kinds of sources of cheap energy. Deep in our mines for geothermal and hydroelectric. We have to strike the deal with the province. We export cheap energy down our transmission lines, and we buy it back at excessive costs. We have got to be partners, and this is one of the things that, in fact, every individual municipality across the north has to be working with one voice approaching Queen's Park for this. It's why Smooth Rock Falls doesn't have an industry. They've got hydro dams right there, but no industry beside it. We've got to speak with one voice. Unfortunately, that relationship is in tatters now. In tatters. We've got to build that relationship if we're going to get what we need in the north. Every community in the north has to speak with one voice, and Timmins and is the place for it to happen. Not being egotistical, we're the largest community. It has to be the leader. Timmins has to be the leader.
I was about to say that. Are you saying that Timmins has lost its leadership role?
Sure, yeah. We've got in disputes with every other community. The relationship is broken. People won't, we'll see what happens after the election. But they're not attending conferences now. The relationship's broken over silliness, in my opinion.